I don't know if you can see this very well, but that white area right there is where I cut the one. And this particular stump here, I've been picking them off of here for several years. And that's oak wood. It takes a long time to deteriorate, so probably be getting them for several more years. There's some more turkey tail growing off of oak stump. Look at that. Okay, here's some dead oaks. You can see it's broke off big. The top of the trunk is broken right off. There's two other ones over here. One right there. One next to it. I'm going to go ahead and inoculate these. And we'll give it a few years and see what we get. Okay, you can see I've spread these little pieces of this cow's mouth around this dead trunk, and it's not really inoculation. Inoculation is an injection. This is, you're just moving nature along a little faster by spreading them directly to a host body. So you're just, for lack of a better term, you're seeding it. Okay, here's another tree I seeded in the past. You can see the squirrel's been chewing on this one a little bit, trying to get some moisture. It's a little older and drier. I'll cut this out and use it to spread around some other trees. Okay, now I've got a small quantity of these Entalomas along with the Carpofroids, and I'm going to fry these up. I've ate them years past, but I don't quite remember the flavor. But I'm going to fry these up, but I'm not going to eat this full quantity. I'm probably going to eat one cap and one piece of the Carpofroid. Later, if I don't feel any ill effects, I'm going to go ahead and finish them. Now, I've stated this before. I follow my own guidelines. Only take a small quantity. You can cook up a fair quantity, but only eat a small portion. This way, if you make a mistake, you know, you could go to the hospital. They could probably, I don't know, pump your stomach and give you some medicine to help you. If you eat a large quantity, you got big trouble. Also, you should thoroughly cook wild mushrooms because of the bacteria content that's often in the mushroom itself or inside the mushroom. Okay, I don't normally do this in my videos, cover poisonous mushrooms, but for a change I'm going to show a poisonous mushroom called the Amanita muscaria. Now, I don't seek or pick any amanitas, anything in the Amanita family, and that's why I say stay away from white unless you know exactly what it is you're doing, because there's a white Amanita called the Destroying Angel, and it's extremely poisonous. Eating poison mushrooms, the toxins usually cause liver damage and kidney damage. The liver damage, unless you get a transplant, cannot be repaired. Let's go ahead and have a close look at this Amanita. Okay, there's a fair amount of them in my area. You can see there's some more back there. There's more in the grass. There's some here. More over here. More over there. Now, I've been asked by several people, what area are you picking mushrooms? I'm in southern Michigan, close to the Ohio border. Michigan is a great state for picking many different types of wild mushrooms, edible. Now let's go ahead and cut this off so we can get a closer, better look at it. And I'll show you, besides the bright yellow color, a distinguishing characteristic about this mushroom. Now, I showed the honey fungus, the early form, earlier on in the video, but you could not confuse this mushroom with the honey fungus. And here's the reason why. You can see these ugly, scaly, almost like warts on this mushroom. Okay? Over here's another example. You can still see the scales. Here's yet an older one. A lot of the scales on the top are not really showing much anymore. There's a button over here. I'll show some of these larger ones. Okay, here in this mature one, you don't see hardly any scales. There's a little bit on the perimeter, on the outside of this cap. But they've faded. So, here's another one. So it wouldn't be easy to confuse this with the early form of honey. Here's some other little brown cap mushrooms. And the cap mushroom is what you have to be careful with. Here you can see this one. It could possibly be confused for the honey fungus or the later form of stumpy. And they do grow in the grass too. But the stem is quite skinny. The top is dry. When wetted, it's not slimy. So this is why I say positive. I don't know what the spore print is. This I don't know what it is, and I don't really care. There's thousands of different types of mushrooms, and only probably 50 to 100 types have been identified and are known to be edible. The others have yet to be studied. Okay, found this giant puffball this morning while I was out squirrel hunting. They usually come out in September, sometimes in August. And you can tell by my hand the size of this one. It's about the size of a basketball. They're spongy and like a marshmallow inside. Some people like them. Everybody's taste is different. I'm not real crazy about them. But they're okay. Deep fried or fried in a pan. When you slice open a puffball, if there's a slight tinge of yellow, you can cut this away and it's still good for eating. If there's quite a bit of yellow or they're brown inside, they're too far gone, they're too far matured, and they're no good for eating. A friend of mine, John Malley, likes to saute it in butter, take it, put brown sugar and cinnamon on it, says it tastes like French toast. You might give this recipe a try. I've got some honey fungus here, or stump fungus. Now, if you see how bright yellow these are an early form, and they're usually quite a bit larger than the later form. They're more yellow, they're more of a yellowish color. The other are more of a tan, like the color of honey. But they're both honey fungus. See this one? This is as big as my hand. Now when these buttons are that big, normally what happens is they'll open up and they'll be as big around as a plate. The latter form, however, is much smaller in size, about the size of a half to a silver dollar, and it's usually more brown and camouflaged. I have picked this mushroom as late as November. I have here a couple examples of pink bottoms. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to try to show where the bottom, when I first cut it, it's stained yellow and later turned brown. Now it has all the characteristics of another mushroom called Agaricus exanthodermus. This mushroom is listed as poison. I recommend you go to Wikipedia and look up this mushroom. I do not recommend that you pick and eat white mushrooms without absolutely identifying them. This is a very dangerous thing to do. as there is one white mushroom called the angel of death, or the destroying angel, and it's an amanita. It's in the amanita family. A good indicator that mushrooms are starting to fruit is when you see fog, because of the radical difference between the temperature changes, cool nights and warm afternoons. This usually starts to bring out the mushroom. Here's another example. You can see it's quite foggy. And generally, right after these temperature changes, generally within a few days, you're going to start to see mushrooms fruit. Now, I made this video to teach you a few things and show the sheer volume of mushrooms that can be collected in the fall. This is not the total harvest from one outing. There were also 2 bags of entomonas, and there are still at least 12 or 13 hen of the woods left out there. Now, a lot of you are probably asking, what are you going to do with all these mushrooms? Well, I can a lot of mushrooms, and I eat a lot. I use a lot of them in my cooking. Also, I give a lot away. They make great gifts for those that'll trust your judgment. I hope you have learned something from this video. Good luck and happy hunting.